Good evening, everybody. This is Casey Reginald Jr.
It's your man, J-Dub, a.k.a. Justin Waters.
And welcome to Underdawg Sportz.
So we talk about everything, sports-related and otherwise. We're trying to get the topics of the day and to keep everything going what we're going to talk about at any point, anytime, in any ways.
All righty, so here we go. First things first, let's apologize for not being on the last couple of weeks, but we are moving to Wednesday nights. Easier said than done, right? It's a little more convenient for Justin and me, so that's what it is.
Indeed. You ain't got to deal with rush hour traffic, so we just want to make it happen with this.
All righty, so let's go right into the show. We're going to start off with J-Dub and the Steeler Nation.
Hey, man. Rez, I got to say this. We played against your Chiefs. The game don't count, so before we even get started, I'm not going to sit there and take it to go a high and happy moment. It's preseason. But as we were talking before, back and forth on Monday, you may have thought the game was boring, but I definitely thought it was improvement for us. I did see some things I like with the Steelers. Again, Devin Bush is going to be a stud. Got to start with that one. And James Washington, we may have lost AB and his drama and his fairy tooth and all this helmet BS bullshit and otherwise, but James Washington's going to be a star. The only thing I'm worried about is he's only becoming a star with the second squad quarterbacks, including his own personal quarterback of 3 years, Mason Randolph. He still ain't got one from Ben, which makes me feel that he may be good, but it may be a little long in the tooth when it comes.
A star based off a preseason game?
That's how AB shined. There's a guy called Victor Cruz. That's how he shined. Hey, they got to start from somewhere. Can't just go ahead and automatically. They're not first-round pick, so they got to start from somewhere to be stars.
A preseason game number 2 where you're dealing with a brand-new defense and people don't even really know where to line up yet, and you want to call him a star. And let's go back to the fact that the Chiefs were ranked number 32 in pass defense last year. So you want to make him a star against the Chiefs? Everybody's a star against the Chiefs.
Well, that's your squad. So you basically saying
defensively,
everybody sucks.
On the defense? Come on now.
Yeah, obviously we're not going to talk about the offense.
If we had a resemblance of a defense, the Chiefs would be defending Super Bowl champions. A resemblance.
Well, y'all have a resemblance. It's just y'all trade every part of y'all resemblance away.
What?
We can still go back with Marcus Peters.
We're going back to Peters. All right, so let's get to – we're supposed to be talking Steelers, but let's talk about Mark Peters. Yeah, the Chiefs got rid of Mark Peters last year. That's last year, and he wasn't very good either in Los Angeles.
What, for the Rams or for y'all?
For the Rams. That's the year we're talking about. If we're going off of 2 years ago, yeah, the dude was great. The Chiefs had no reason to trade him, but last year he wouldn't have really helped.
He also was always hurt.
Yeah,
you got to realize that.
So he wouldn't have been hurt in Kansas City?
Well, here's the thing. He's playing more one-on-one football, and then in case against y'all division, he wasn't asked to go ahead and run and smash against running backs. Playing against the Rams, although there's not an elite running back in that division that's not a Ram. Unless you want to call David Johnson that, and that was 2 years ago. But they make him play more run-up, one-on-one, smash-mouth football.
He still don't tackle.
Hey, name me a great tackler at cornerback.
Rod Woodson before Barry Sanders.
Okay, that's an elite. That's the GOAT. That's one of the GOATs of the game. But then we also have the other GOAT, Deion Sanders, was one of the worst tacklers in NFL history.
Aqib Talib.
Aqib Talib is honestly a linebacker. This is why he's always hurt.
But he's a cornerback. You asked me to name you an elite corner, and Talib has been pretty close to that. He may not be that.
And what did he do last year?
He got hurt, but he's old now.
He's always hurt now. That's why the hell the Denver Broncos traded him in the first place.
But he's old now.
He's always hurt.
Because
they
he's
want to pay him
now.
for injured good.
I'm just saying.
He's old.
You said to name your cornerback that tackles. On the very same field as Marcus Peters, I named you a cornerback that tackles. Now, granted, the dude gets hurt because he's old now.
All the time.
He's old.
Okay.
All the old people get hurt once they get there.
Name a young one.
Man, these young kids don't tackle. Not even the linebackers.
Okay.
So, no, I can't name one.
But you now playing, but I'm saying, but you're playing against, the simple fact is the Rams defense, actually, with Wade Phillips' defense, the corners have to come up and hit.
That's true.
You had a quarterback that was a former Cowboy that was under Wade Phillips' system that kind of shined because of Wade Phillips' system, named Orlando Scantry. You know, your favorite person.
Boo.
The ultimate guy of all time.
Boo.
The reason why he shined and almost was a Pro Bowler was because of Wade Phillips' system, because he came up to hit. Now he doesn't do that. Well, now he just sucks. So
yeah, he's garbage now.
Now he's terrible. But he was shining in
so we finally admit he's garbage now? Because you've been trying to sell me this guy as recently as this week.
No, I was just being sarcastic. But, no, he's terrible. The coach, he's terrible. He's terrible.
He's awful. He is the worst cornerback in football right now.
The minute he got on TV, he was done. The minute he was on with Real Housewives or Desperate, whatever the hell it is, he was done.
Yeah. So what about Ben? You got any updates on Ben? You got anything?
Ben is okay.
What's going on in Steelerville?
Ben is actually being quiet. They've asked him questions. I reached out to and started watching the Steelers stuff, and of course my local newspaper. Shout out to Steel City, WPXI, and the Pittsburgh Post-Gazette. He's actually quiet. They even asked him questions about the whole AB drama, and he just said, well, you know, it is what it is, which is surprising, considering the fact the whole main reason why Ben was the poster boy for blame this past offseason, or this, you know, was because the fact of the matter is Ben was throwing everybody under the bus. He's not doing that anymore. I'm actually shocked and happy about that.
I don't understand how the bus driver's throwing anybody under the bus.
Oh, well.
He's the damn driver of the bus. But anyway, he doesn't have any drama this year, so we're going to leave it there. So basically you're saying it's peaceful in Pittsburgh for now.
It's peaceful for Pittsburgh, and plus to give a solemn moment to wide receivers coach Daryl Clark. Daryl Clark came to the Steelers last year. He was one of the main instrumental pieces in Juju's development to make Juju an up-and-coming, going for right now star to hopefully become a superstar. And he was one of the ones that was fighting that kept AB in check for the most part. He was the one that also went to Tomlin and said, let AB play during Week 17. But by that point, the Steelers, Tomlin, and everybody and their mama was done with the kid. You know what I mean? You can go ahead and pout on the sideline you want, and that's why we got rid of him. AB, to the credit, I was actually shocked that AB had said nothing about Daryl Clark. But, you know, AB is AB, all about me, AB. But I want to give a shout-out to him because I think this may be a little bit of motivation for Juju to play hard because he was like a father figure to Daryl Clark was a father figure to Juju Smith-Schuster. So I'm going to definitely give a shout-out to them. And also, James Conner's looking good. We got a three-headed monster at running back. So we may have lost Le'Veon Bell and all his drama and his getting robbed and blah, 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 and all that other bullshit. But this three-headed monster with Snell, Conner, and Samuels. Huh?
So something's happening right now with Jay-Z, and I don't have access to my social media. Can you check it out? We was going to talk about Jay-Z later, but apparently he wants to interrupt the beginning of the podcast. You got anything?
What are we doing right now?
I don't know.
I'm loving all these comments about Jay-Z and what's going on now.
Yeah, he just gave me a note. There's something breaking news.
Okay, about to say, is it on ESPN or Bleacher? We'll find it.
Where'd you get the alert from? Because I'm on ESPN. I have nothing.
Yeah, there's nothing on ESPN about it, but I know I've heard Kenny Stills call him half man, half savior.
Pause the video.
Which is pissing him off.
It's better that we get that information. Well, we'll get to Jay-Z as soon as he gets this information for us. I love having my makeshift producer spouse. Where's the kid?
Here you go.
You got to get Manny over here. So basically, before we get to Jay-Z and the rest of this, I'm glad he brought that up, though, because I don't have that down here as topics, even though we did say we were going to talk about it. I did want to say, for someone that's happy that he's gone, you talk about AB a lot.
So does half of the ESPN. He's been the main topic for the last 4 days.
Well, that's the only thing that makes the Raiders interesting. I'm wondering why Steeler Nation still cares if they're living in the peaceful zen of post-AB world.
Because this is a simple fact. We had to hear this ish from the time he went on ESPN. Let's actually rewind from the Pro Bowl where he didn't appear. He blamed the Steelers. Actually, let's go back even further from Week 17 for all season long to the trade to John Gruden cares about my family. Yeah, you and your 5 kids and your 2 baby mamas, 3 baby mamas. Great. Okay. You supposed to keep in contact with all your family? Great. Hell, even on Hard Knocks. Whereas your kid is asking for Roethlisberger. What the hell? You better school your kids about who your quarterback is and what team you on. Instead of all ahead. But the thing is now the Steelers look like villains. The Steelers look like they were the big conglomerate not caring about the little AB and the little Le'Veon. And lo and behold, the 2 stars that griped and complained about money got what they want, and they still are not happy. And they're still doing stupid stuff. But for a whole offseason, Tomlin looked bad. Tomlin, to a certain extent, he is to blame because he let AB and AB and Le'Veon get away with a lot of stuff. Management looked bad because of the 52 kids comment by Kevin Colbert. He needed to be slapped. And the Rooneys, they look bad, but in the same note, they're like, hey, look, we're not going to back down for this. I don't know what the hell you're talking about. So with that being said, yeah, we have a moment to gripe because look at everything that's happening. You got Le'Veon, who just got paid. He in New York. He's getting robbed every 5 minutes by 2 girls at a club and all that, yada, yada, yada. Then you got AB and his drama.
I mean, it's great to get rid of the problem. It's great to get rid of the problem, but can you replace the production? I was telling you over the Skype earlier this week, AB is a headache off the field, and you just wish he would go somewhere and retire. But when he starts playing football games, there's really no receiver better right now. How are you going to replace that production?
Michael Thomas.
Okay, but that's New Orleans, and that's a dome. Would he be as good as AB was outside in Pittsburgh? I don't think so.
No, but here's the thing. You are correct about that, but here's the thing. Michael Thomas held out, didn't go to the media, didn't say shit. Every time AB is the media, it's social media, it's this, that, or the third.
Well, Justin,
how many times we give a kid what they want and they still ain't happy? Come on, man.
Bro.
And
if we weren't talking about this helmet and Antonio Brown, even though they're on Hard Knocks, would we be talking about the Raiders at all?
No, because the only reason why they pulled that trade, the only reason they want the AB headache is because one simple reason. They have to sell tickets in Vegas. And Derek Carr is on basically a coaching. We might as well call it a coaching plan. So he's on thin ice. You have no other star on the team. Yeah, you brought in Williams from the Chargers and whomever the hell else they brought. But you don't have a star. You don't have someone that's known as AB. So you need to sell tickets in Vegas because Vegas is still a hard market to sell. So you bring in AB and make him the vocal point of your team, although he's been a vocal point, just not in the right way.
I'm just saying, AB is doing what AB is supposed to do for Oakland/Vegas. He's selling tickets. He's in the media. He's getting attention for a team that otherwise would have none. So you're complaining because you're in Pittsburgh and you have this tradition of winning and you don't want that kind of distraction. But the Raiders don't mind because we wouldn't be talking about them otherwise. And they're on freaking HBO.
When the last time we talked about the Raiders? Well, actually,
exactly.
The Raiders have been on Hard Knocks a couple of times already. I think they need, between them and Cleveland, they need Hard Knocks just to stay relevant. Cleveland's just balling out now. They just now panning out.
That's the whole point. You're saying he's a distraction, and he is. He couldn't be in Kansas City, okay? Just put it that way. He wouldn't even last a day. He wouldn't be there, okay? But in Oakland, he's doing exactly what they need him to do. We call it drama. But otherwise, this is a team that's absolutely irrelevant. What expectations does anyone have of the Oakland Vegas Raiders this year?
None. They're still going to go 4-12.
So why not talk about AB? We don't have nothing else to talk about.
But here's the thing. You can still talk about AB or how he's killing it. Oh, this may be his make-through season. He could be the first wide receiver to get 2,000 yards. You can talk about that, but instead, what are we talking about?
He's the top receiver in football. What do you mean breakthrough season?
Meaning this is going to be his first season without Ben. So this is going to be the proven factor. Just like it would have came first, the chicken or the egg. Who made who better? Did Ben make AB better or did AB make Ben better?
Bro, you can't even go there. You can't go there this year.
They
David freaking Carr is his quarterback.
They are going there, huh?
Who? David Carr is his quarterback.
David Carr is his quarterback.
What is that? Seriously.
So, remember, let's go there. You don't play fantasy. You do fantasy football lightweight. I do it heavyweight.
I wouldn't draft Antonio Brown above the third round with David Carr as his quarterback. And he's my former number one every year. Number one overall for the last 3 years.
Right.
I wouldn't take him in the third round right now because David Carr is his quarterback and they have the offensive line they have.
True. But here's the thing. It's the media, and let me rephrase that. The Oakland media, let me rephrase that again. John Gruden, let me rephrase that again. Everybody in AB's circle and John Gruden wants AB to go ahead and be this electric receiver. Like he can go, it's almost like what T.O. did back in his glory years, who was the same type of player. Ironically, Drew Rosenhaus, can't stand him. Just like you can't stand Orlando Scandrick, I can't stand Drew Rosenhaus. But with that being said, it's the same theory. Did T.O. shine without Jeff Garcia? Yes, he shined with Donovan. Did he shine without Donovan? Yes, he had Tony Romo for a second and then imploded. Can AB, because remember one fact, AB has never caught a touchdown from anybody unless it's Ben Roethlisberger, unless it's in the Pro Bowl. He's never caught a touchdown. Not Vic, not Leftwich, not Dobbs or anybody else that had to play relief role while Ben was hurt or suspended.
But all those guys sucked.
Big Ben. Well,
they all sucked. They sucked.
Vic wasn't that bad.
Justin.
Vic wasn't that bad.
Justin, you had to cheer for them. You know they sucked.
Who, the other quarterback?
Yes.
Nah.
They sucked.
Vic was okay.
They sucked. Okay. No, he wasn't. He was awful. They were trying to turn that entire offense around for him. It was trying to turn it to a left-handed offense for a right-handed team. It didn't work.
Well, we had no choice.
It didn't work.
Ben was going to be out.
That's why he was awful.
Well, we went in that time with Vic. We did go 4-2, so I can't say it was a total loss.
But he was awful.
He was also hurt. He was also old, but it did pan out, Reggie. I got to go with my man Vic.
You saw that. Come on now, be honest.
No.
It was awful watching him try to play for that team. I was embarrassed for him.
It was bad when he played for the Jets the year before.
No.
For us, he actually was doing. Here's the thing. What made it bad for us? Well, no, let me rephrase that. What made it bad for AB is all of a sudden the worst draft-picked wide receiver in the last 15 years was showing out in Darius Hayward-Bay. That man actually had 3 100-yard games in Vic's term. 3 100-yard. This dude ain't have a single 100-yard game the whole time he was with the Raiders. The whole time when he came to the Steelers as a kick returner, and we put him in because somebody else got hurt, and he actually had 3 100-yard games with Vic, and AB was going bananas. He couldn't stand it because Vic was not going to be the one to be punked. You can punk everybody else. You wasn't going to punk Mike Vick, especially after Mike Vick did jail time.
That's right. Mike a thug.
I done did the worst.
He a Christian thug. You not punking Mike.
You not punking. So Mike actually, we watched some of those games. He actually was throwing the ball purposely away from AB. It's hilarious. It was either going to be Heath or Darius Hayward-Bay, or in fact, that's what made Eli Rodgers come to play. That's where the Eli Rodgers came out of the blue, little Eli from Louisville.
All right. You've had your 20 minutes of Steelers time. Let's move on to the team.
About Steelers,
let's move on to the team that this podcast was founded for. Let's move on to the Kansas City Chiefs and my favorite topic, Mr. Patrick Mahomes.
He was on his ass a lot this time, but it's okay.
He's what? He was
on his butt.
Listen.
He got sacked 3 times.
He didn't get sacked 3 times. He was only in for a couple series. He got hit. He got hit. He didn't get sacked. He was 2 for 5.
Okay, I'm sorry. He got touched by an angel 3 times.
He got hit. He didn't have a good game, but it was after the rain. It was really not – he wasn't going to play. The only reason Coach Reed played him is just to get him in that just in case this happens, I want you to be ready to go through this process again. Because we do play in Kansas City, and this is bound to happen in these early games. So the only reason he was out there was just to go through that maybe it could happen to you thing. He didn't even look like he was trying. The starters didn't look like they were trying. That's why I kind of laughed at your point that the Steelers looked good. Sure, they sure did. Tyreek Hill ran the wrong route, so we missed a big gain there. The field was wet. The players really weren't into it because they weren't going to play as much as they were promised they were going to play. But, we'll give you that y'all won that game with some backups.
But we're not counting the win. I keep telling you. I should have told you that. I don't give a damn about the win.
I'm just looking at.
I do want to say that your offensive line is going to need help.
Well, I knew that. I told you Eric Fisher sucks.
We did.
Yeah,
and
we talked about
that. It's now becoming it's kind of hard not to miss the line. Last year, y'all got away with it because Pat was on the roll, and no one was really expecting him to do what he did. I mean, expected him to be nice, but not like that.
Nobody expected. You couldn't predict that.
No,
not a chance. You know what
my
prediction was, and I got called out an idiot online. I predicted he'd throw 34 touchdowns and 10 interceptions. I got told, you know how hard it is to throw 34 touchdowns in the NFL? This is what some idiot on Facebook told me. So by the end of the season, I went back and found this said idiot, and I let him know, yeah, you called me a whole idiot. 50-12. I was a little short. You need to make an entire post saying that you're the actual idiot. It's Coach Reed. It's Patrick Mahomes. Now it's year 2. Bro, y'all are in for it. Yes, the line is cheesy, okay? The line is led by Jeff. He's supposed to be the anchor, so we're calling him, I called him Jeff. That's how bad he is. I called him a bad coach instead of a bad lineman, Eric Fisher. Yeah, it's going to be some quick reads. We're going to be throwing some quick passes, but I like Mecole Hardman in the slot, especially if somebody teaching how to run a couple routes. That 4-3-4 speed in the middle, going with Kelsey on the opposite side. Then you got Tyreek flying from the outside and Sammy holding up the underneath. Man, what are y'all going to do?
So here's the thing. I have a question. Y'all been compared now officially again to – y'all were compared to the Rams, which I thought was
we
kind
got a
of
new nickname, bro.
Comparison.
Legion of Zoom.
No, that sucks.
It doesn't suck.
Let them boys in Seattle keep their name, man. They should have been there at least another couple years. Let them boys in Seattle keep their name.
They can have Boom. We're the Legion of Zoom. The speed, bro.
No.
The speed.
No.
All about who's got a faster set of wide receivers in the NFL.
No, I mean, I agree with you, but the name sucks.
I think the name sucks too. They need to do something, but, if that's what they want to call themselves, I like that.
Yeah, I gotta work on that name, player. Yeah. I don't know about that one.
They got to figure it out. But still, I'm gonna rock it right now until they figure something else out. It's gonna come.
Of course, but hopefully Mahomes don't get hurt.
Bro, but why you trying? Hold on. You the one with the 50-year-old quarterback. Hopefully Ben doesn't get hurt. Don't try to speak. Don't try to speak that. Don't try to speak that into existence in Kansas City. No, you hope your crippled quarterback can last 16 games. When was the last year he actually lasted 16 games?
The last year he actually lasted 16 games was the year before.
Oh, and then the year before that, it wasn't 16
games. He lasted
games.
16 games.
Nah, he had. When did Vic play?
No, I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Vic played was 2014.
This guy is hurt every year.
Yeah,
that's why he's pondering retirement every year.
No, he's pondering retirement every year because of contract issues. Let's not go there with that. Every year he ponders retirement because he wants to restructure his damn. If he restructure the hell out of his contract, he gets paid.
Do you want to go back to our topic 2 weeks ago when he was reporting to camp and he looked like he was on a damn walker?
He always looks like that, Reggie. You gotta watch
because your quarterback, since your quarterback is the walking ICU, you want to try to put this injury hex on my quarterback. That's what I'm getting here.
Put that injury hex on your quarterback. Sorry.
Who did that?
Unless his name is Madden Curse did that for your quarterback. Unless his name was Thomas Brady.
Bro, my kid is 23 years old. I think he's fine. I think he's going to be great. I'm not worried about a potential injury.
Dante Culpepper said the same thing. Vince Young said the same thing.
Hold on. Wait. Did you just compare Patrick Mahomes to Dante Culpepper and Vince Young? Vince Young.
Those guys were on the Madden cover.
Vince Young. Bro.
Vince Young was on the Madden cover.
There's a lot of players on the Madden cover. I'm not worried about it. You keep trying to make this curse real. I don't live in the life of curses. I live in a life of reality, and reality is Pat Mahomes is going to ball out again.
Yeah, he better, because I got him on fantasy football. He was my second pick, and he failed to me, which was amazing. No one picked him as the first pick. So I got Patrick Mahomes and what was my running back? I had the 12th pick, so I had Leonard Fournette, and then it turned around and Pat was available. So I got Leonard Fournette and Patrick Mahomes, my first two picks.
Wow, that's pretty good.
Yeah, I'm not really happy with the Leonard Fournette pick, but it's one of those. It was either him or I go out on a limb and still think Shady McCoy or Le'Veon has something. Shady's done, and Le'Veon I don't trust.
You just don't want Le'Veon because he's not a Steeler anymore. Tell the truth.
Tell
the truth.
I don't care.
You have wait. You had no business.
Money, brother. No.
You had no business taking Leonard Fournette over Le'Veon Bell if Le'Veon Bell was available.
Well, here's the thing. Le'Veon Bell, we don't know what we're going to expect him in Jets.
I know what I expect. I expect him to be damn Le'Veon Bell and do what Le'Veon Bell does. And until he shows me otherwise, I'm not going to take Leonard Fournette over Le'Veon Bell in any draft.
I'm taking chances. I'll take my chances.
That's a big chance.
I'm about winning the draft. When you talk about fantasy football, it ain't got shit to do with going ahead and having favoritism with the team. It comes about money.
Yeah.
And if I'm putting my money on it right now, and I can't trust, I don't know what to expect from out of Le'Veon. That's the problem.
And you don't know what to expect out of Fournette. He's hurt all the time now.
I agree, but luckily, I do have a backup plan. I don't have Le'Veon. I did have a backup plan, so my backup plan is y'all quarterback in Kansas City right now. So
that better be your backup. You better hope he stays healthy.
Hey, man, I got him, and then I got a bigger problem. I do got a wide receiver, and my wide receiver is pretty nice, but he's in a contract dispute right now, so it's also bothering me, and that's a good old Julio, but that's a whole different topic. I had to pick Julio. That's my third pick, but let's just hope he don't hold out. I mean, he's playing nice now, but you know how they go. If anybody else get paid any more money, then I might be screwed, but we'll see. That's another topic and within itself.
It is another topic.
Going back to your Mahomes thing, I'm not wishing nothing. I don't wish injuries on anybody. This is coming from someone who played college ball to pull out his shoulder.
That's what we all say, bro. We all say the same thing. I don't want anybody to get hurt, but I want my team to win. So if you hurt during my game, I'm happy. I don't want to hear that. None of that.
I walk away from it. I mean, let's keep it real. If your guy is hurt, if Mahomes is hurt or whomever is hurt, am I upset for him? Yeah, because I don't want to see no one hurt. But if my team wins, it's like, hey, that's just the guy. That's the sports guys talking.
The sports guys on your side, right? Because my guy got hurt.
It is what it is. I ain't got nothing to do with that one.
Yeah, exactly what I was talking about. I like the realness, bro. So, hey, we're still talking Chiefs. I still got about 10 more minutes. I like Alex Okafor in Kansas City.
He was good, but Alex Okafor was actually a great player with, what was he in college? He was at UT, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah.
He's actually a solid player. I mean, he'll be okay in Chiefs Nation. I don't know, because where did he come from? Was he a Ram or something?
Yeah.
I forgot what team he was on.
L.A.
The Rams were kind of loaded, and you got to go ahead and ball out to shine out. And I guess he just didn't do it enough for particular franchise. I mean, you got a lot of strong players on that team. But I'm okay with that. He'll be okay.
He looked good. He looked good against the Steelers last week.
His thing is he's also another injury prone. So long as he stays healthy, he'll be okay.
And I mean, but we kind of got depth on our defense on the line right now. We still got Clark. We still got Chris Jones. With Okafor is just a plus. We didn't really expect anything from this guy.
True. So, I'm actually surprised. One thing, Chris Jones is not holding out.
I'm not surprised he's not holding out. Chris Jones wants to win more than he wants to get paid. I'm glad you brought that up because I swore that I was going to talk about this until he gets paid. Chris Jones needs a new damn contract. He needs a new damn contract yesterday. He played their game. He reported he's he went to camp. Camp is broken. We said we're not going to negotiate while he's not reporting. Well, he's here. I don't hear any talk about negotiations. And we're a lot under the cap right now. We have money for a big contract. I don't understand.
Yeah. Because y'all still are waiting. Here's the thing. We've talked about this before. Until that quarterback in Dallas gets his contract so y'all can figure out the quarterback y'all have.
Can we talk about that again?
We can. Because here's the thing. Right now, let me ask this question. So you have your star running back, star wide receiver, and star quarterback all about to be free agents if you don't franchise them or what have you. But you pay Jalen Samuels. Not to slight Jalen Samuels. Not to knock him. Because he was a stud in Notre Dame. He was injured last year. He came back and had a solid, or not last year, year before, and had a solid season last year. Not Pro Bowl, but solid. Y'all pay him. Y'all forced to play DeMarcus Lawrence because Randy Gregory can't stay off the weed. And the other dude just retired for the weed. And Crawford is always hurt. So let's just scratch that. You got to pay your defense. But you're paying all your defensive players. How much money you got to pay your offensive players, especially your unhappy Zeke? Just wanting to know that.
I got your argument. Zeke's the only one that's asking for money right now that deserves anywhere near the money he's asking for. The audacity of Dak Prescott and his ask in this contract is overwhelming to me. I don't understand the audacity. And I understand that this is really, to me, the bigger picture is the labor agreement. They're trying to push the bar for the labor agreement. That's why such a large ask. But this dude isn't a $25 million a year quarterback, and he asked for 40.
I agree. But here's the thing. If he gets it, this is the scary thing. If he gets it,
life as we know it is blown up.
Yeah, because the CBA is going to be history.
Yeah,
it's over. The NFL is supposed to be going on strike in 2 years once the CBA is agreed. If Dak gets his contract and then all of a sudden you got Pat Mahomes wanting his money.
You know what we'd have to pay Patrick Mahomes if they paid Dak Prescott $40 million a year?
Mm-hmm.
We'd have to it'd be like 80, like he's definitely twice as good as Dak Prescott. Definitely twice as good as this guy. So, come on. That's ridiculous. You know, this dude doesn't deserve 25.
He's going to get it because here's the thing. If you don't get it from the Cowboys, let's say,
who's going to pay him that?
What did I tell you? There's a team down there in Miami
in South Florida
that's foolish enough to do it.
These people pay professionals to professionally scout talent. This dude don't have $40 million a year talent.
You're saying that.
No, I'm not saying that. The entire world is saying that. This is the craziest thing I've ever heard ever.
Here's your biggest issue. I keep telling you your biggest issue.
Jerry Jones?
No, not Jerry. Jerry Smart, he won't pay that much. Here's your biggest issue if Dak forcibly walks. Somebody needs to sell tickets.
They're not going to sell them with Dak Prescott. Dak Prescott has not sold a single ticket in Dallas. Ezekiel Elliott sells the tickets there. No, sir.
They're winning with him.
They're winning in spite of him. In spite of his limitations on the field. In spite of his lack of vision on the field.
Then Tony Romo would still be there.
Tony Romo isn't there because Tony Romo got hurt.
Okay. Did they wait for Tony Romo to get better? No.
They couldn't keep. How many years in a row did Tony Romo get hurt? They couldn't keep waiting for Romo. They had to face reality. Romo was never going to take them where they needed to be. He was never going to be healthy.
And Dak's not either, but Dak is
But
a name
at least
right
he's
now.
available. Remember, I just said this today. These players, these coaches, these owners believe the best ability of a player is availability. Romo was never available. They didn't move on from Romo because they thought they had something better in Dak. They moved on from Romo because he's never available. They just didn't pursue. They just would not.
Get sales now. Also, keep in mind, who has the number 2 jersey sale outside of your boy right now? 3, excuse me. The number 3 jersey sale right now in the NFL.
If it's Dak Prescott, I don't understand it because I wouldn't watch it. I wouldn't wear that jersey if I was a Cowboy fan.
More than Zeke, more than Cooper, more than anybody on there.
And the most valuable player to the Dallas Cowboys is Ezekiel Elliott, period.
I'll give you that.
Let them pay Dak and let Ezekiel Elliott walk away. That's going to look like the worst contract in the history of the NFL.
But you know what Jerry's thinking? Jerry's thinking, I can get a running back a dime a dozen. Because here is the thing. He does have one good, great point. In the last, let's say, 10 years, every Cowboys have had at least 1,000-yard runner almost every year. So before Zeke, it was Murray. Before Murray, it was, I'm trying to think of his name. Was it Jones? Or I might be missing somebody in between with Jones.
Cowboys develop offensive linemen. They've always been great at that. That's the reason Emmitt Smith is the all-time leading rusher in NFL history. It's not because he was talented. It's because he had the best line in the history of the NFL in front of him.
No, actually, and because Barry Sanders retired.
That too, but still.
Yeah, I'm about to say.
You know I'm not arguing that point.
Barry Sanders is the GOAT.
Yeah, I'm not arguing that point. The best 2 running backs in NFL history, Barry Sanders, Walter Payton.
Thank you. That's all I need to say.
That's it. That's the end of that discussion. We know that. And in the order that I said, and rest in peace, Walter Payton, but the best running back to ever run a football in the NFL is Barry Sanders. Period, point blank. There's not room for discussion on this show for that debate.
Oh, yes, because we won't. You're a damn fool if you think otherwise. We definitely ain't going to have an argument on that one. Not at all.
And no guest, none of that. Hell no. All right, I got a couple more minutes. I'm going to talk about Mecole Hardman in the slot. What do you think?
He'll be good. I'm trying to. It's the one thing I'm trying to figure out is he's a stud, but my thing is I need to see more. Can he take it to the next level? Because remember, he wasn't the number 1 option at Georgia.
He wasn't, and he's not the number 1 option in Kansas City. He ain't number 2 either. He will be 3.
But he got drafted high. Here's the thing.
He got drafted high in fear of Tyreek Hill.
He got high. Huh?
He got drafted high in fear of Tyreek Hill. They wanted somebody to be able to run a fly route fast enough so that Patrick Mahomes could air out his arm. That's it. Yeah. Now they don't need him for that because Tyreek is here. We can actually draft a receiver next year that's actually going to do what we need him to do. We just need this kid to be a slot.
No, listen. Y'all need a solid possession.
Sir, the Chiefs are not gonna. They are not gonna draft a possession guy. They are gonna. I told you, Tyreek Hill, if he's in Kansas City beyond his first contract, it will only be a 3-year deal because speed does not age well. When you start getting hurt, when you are a fast person, it's hamstrings and it's frequent. It's groins, and it's frequent. It's foot injuries, and it's frequent. Speed does not age well. So you don't sign Tyreek Hill for more than 3 years. You draft you another 23-year-old. You get him on a rookie contract, and then you might pay him another 3-year deal just like you did Tyreek.
One thing I will say, y'all got a good character person compared to Tyreek had baggage coming in. But I also see the Chiefs now going for high-quality character persons with speed because I think y'all don't want another headache like I just dealt with Hunt and Hill. I think y'all going to situate past that one. I think Andy see the forefront of that dealing those days with T.O. and all that BS. So I see that.
You know, I'm over time with the Chiefs, but real quick on that, this team should have taken a harder stance on that relationship before they drafted him, because after the conviction or the plea deal, which obviously that story's changed now, he should have walked away from this girl. I know that they got kids. They have custody agreements. That's what this whole law system is about. So I don't understand why he actually engaged the lady later, and they have now a second kid, all this other stuff. This was a toxic relationship, and young people should not stay in those. However, the Chiefs should have taken a harder stance and told him, listen, we'll draft you, but if you stay with this young lady, we're going to cut you. And I know his production on the field has been spectacular, but this zoo and circus that this relationship has put the organization through is just unbelievable.
Well, that's the thing he produced. Because look at it. Remember, what school did he originally go to before he was at Western, whatever the hell he came from? Because he was at a big school and then got dismissed from the team. Yeah. Ended up in Western Alabama or something. Was he Florida or regular Alabama or something like that?
I'm trying to think, and I don't remember right now.
And sometimes those are those type of head cases that, I mean, we're going to produce with it one way or another. I got to look that up real quick.
I mean, they believed in Coach Reed. That's all that is. I'm looking it up now, too. But you're on my phone, so I don't want to lose you.
I beat you to Oklahoma State.
All right.
He was at OK State. So he went to Garden City Community College, OK State, got in trouble, dismissed, and then was at West Alabama.
Yeah. But back to my guy, Hardman. I like him in the slot. I think if he learns how to run a few routes in the slot, the only question mark is going to be, will he be willing to take that hit that comes with being in the slot?
Well, he's going to have to add some weight to take that hit.
I mean, they don't want him to add weight because it's going to take away from speed.
Well, I mean, it depends on how. There is weight you can do. Look at T.O.
T.O. was a specimen, bro. He was before his time.
And we're going to see about the kid up in Seattle, because he could be the next T.O. if he can keep his ass healthy, which I think he's hurt already again. And Metcalf.
All right, we're going to move on from the Chiefs. We had an interesting debate today. Frank Gore in the Hall of Fame.
Mm-hmm.
Frank Gore is going to go to the Hall of Fame. But based on his individual season-by-season numbers, he's never been a top 10 running back in the National Football League during his time.
Agreed.
Because of his longevity and his durability and his availability, Frank Gore's fourth all-time leading rusher in National Football League history. Are these lists overranked?
To a certain extent, yeah. And a certain extent, because here's the thing. Was Frank Gore, I always look at it as the fear factor. When you see Frank Gore coming, was any team ever afraid of Frank Gore?
No.
Like, ooh.
Did you game plan for Frank Gore?
No, you game plan for everybody else on the Niners at the time.
And in general, you just stop the run. And not because he's spectacular, not because he's changing the game. You just stop the run because it's part of playing defense.
Okay. So with that being said, he's number 4. He will probably pass Barry Sanders. Well, no.
Sick to my stomach.
He got to get 500 yards, but he got to get about 600 yards to pass Barry Sanders.
He's
so if he has an adequate season, he may or may not. Depending on how. Remember, he is in Buffalo, bro. I mean, it could be yes, it could be no. He may get.
Silently, I'm excited about the Bills.
Right.
I think their quarterback is gonna. I think their quarterback's gonna make strides. I love what they did with their slot. I silently think the Bills people are sleeping on the Bills.
The only thing I'm excited about is my guy is a Bill, Ed Oliver. Shout out to Ed Oliver. We spoke at his school a couple times. A great kid, great personality, fun to be around. That's the only thing I'm excited about. I think Josh Allen is an overrated prick. His comments about black people, and then all of a sudden you playing with a bunch of black people, and now you got to reach out. I was young. No, you did it 2 years ago. You ain't that fucking young. Wide receivers, who are their receivers? Y'all have their other receiver, Sammy Watkins. I haven't heard of a receiver since.
They're making they hold on. They signed a solid slot. 1 second. Look it up for me. Look it up for me. You know I'm handicapped.
Buffalo signed a slot. Who the hell did Buffalo sign?
They made some. I'm telling you, Buffalo is gonna be a silent assassin this year.
And then we don't know who how the running back situation is. You don't want to go ahead. They don't want to really play Shady McCoy, but he's so much a cap hit that they don't want to get rid of him all like that.
So Cole Beasley's going to be in their slot.
Yeah, that's who it is. Cole Beasley.
I wanted Cole Beasley in Kansas City so bad. Do you know what that kind of solid slot production will do for? If that's why, bro, that's the whole
Cole
Mecole Hardman.
Beasley wouldn't be a number one for y'all.
He's a slot. I don't need him to be number one. I need him to be what he's been, a slot, the number 3 receiver on the team. Sammy, Tyreek, and Cole. That's what I needed him to be. That would take my offense to the next dimension. We didn't have that last year.
Cole Beasley is good. He's not.
He's a solid slot.
Okay, so
he's a very solid slot receiver.
Shout out to Cole Beasley.
Yeah,
he's like Rudy.
He is like Rudy. I don't like him.
Rudy.
I don't like him, but the dude's been good. And he played with Dak Prescott. That says something. How are you good if you play with that guy? That's all I'm saying.
He's a solid number 3, but other than that,
that's what he needs to
y'all
be.
Want to get so you're gonna all of a sudden, if you're gonna start watching Buffalo Bills games?
No. Listen. I'm not gonna watch their games. I'm calling them a silent assassin. I'm telling you they'll probably win 8 or 9 games. That's what I think.
Wow. They won 8 or 9 games because the division sucks.
Bro.
As long as you got Miami and the Jets in the
8 or 9 games is either at 500 or winning percentage in a very strong league where it's going to be hard to have wins. You got powerhouses in the AFC. You got people that think they're still powerhouses in the AFC. You got teams
8 or 9 games, you're giving them a lot of credit.
And I'm telling you, and that's why I called him a silent assassin. I just think Josh Allen's going to make strides. I don't like him. I think he's a bigot.
You know what? I may give you a pass on this one because their schedule is trash.
Just saying, 8 or 9 games.
Us, the Colts. No, that's preseason. They got the Steelers, Cowboys. They won't win either one of those. They could beat Denver. They won't. They could beat the Redskins.
Could beat. These are not shoe-in games. The Redskins, they probably will beat.
They got the Titans. They could beat the Titans.
They will beat. I think they'll beat the Titans.
They can beat Cincinnati.
They will beat
and
Cincinnati.
They can beat the Giants.
They will beat the Giants.
Other than that, yeah, you should have luck for the rest of them. So I give them. I'll give them 7 and 9.
Okay, so you're 2 games below. You're actually a game below my prediction. So you like the Buffalo Bills too. You like the Buffalo Bills too.
Oh, wait.
I'm just
saying. We're talking about the Buffalo Bills in the 90s?
No, you think they're going to be a silent assassin this year too.
I like Ed Oliver. I like that kid.
All I'm telling you is if I'm saying high side 9 and you're saying 7 and 9, we're only 2 games apart.
I'm looking at the schedule. I'm being real.
We're only 2 games off.
I think Cincinnati may be your closest next 0-16 team.
Bro.
So I automatically going to have them they're out. Tennessee does not impress me. You hate Marcus Mariota. We already talked about that.
Jeez.
The Dolphins may be the second 0-16 team. The Redskins, they're not impressive. I keep telling people Dwayne Haskins dropped for several reasons. And Case Keenum and Colt McCoy, yeah, okay. Y'all try that again. Denver, Joe Flacco probably get hurt. Drew Lock is already hurt. Yeah, so, and in the division, like I said, 7 and 9. Anything else will be uncivilized.
I'm just saying. So Frank Gore, you're putting him in the Hall of Fame. Like I said, we overrate this list. I mean, if we're going to talk about list, Jamaal Charles is on number one on a certain list.
Here's my problem with that.
Jamaal Charles was actually one of the top 2 backs in the league during his time. Teams actually game planned for Jamaal Charles.
Correct.
Jamaal Charles was dynamic and was the league's leading rusher. He was an all-pro. Jamaal Charles, while you're right, he had longevity issues because of injury. His short resume, to me, is more impressive than Frank Gore's extensive resume.
Okay, I'll give you that. Here's my one thing. So I looked at this list and I started going through names. So I went through the top 25 names. So everybody on this top 25 list has one common denominator that your guy does not. 25 or 10,000 yards rushing.
That's true.
Now
I 100% concur with that. But again, I'm not talking about greatest rushing leader of all times. I'm not talking about greatest yards guy of all time. We're supposed to be talking about the greatest running backs to play the game. Jamaal Charles was one of the greatest running backs during his time.
Which was short.
It was very short. But didn't Terrell Davis make it?
Say that again?
Didn't Terrell Davis make it?
Terrell Davis also had 2 Super Bowl rings.
That's not what I asked you.
And an MVP trophy and a Super Bowl MVP trophy.
Okay.
Those count.
They do count.
Because here's the thing. Only reason why I'm saying that is how did Michael Irvin, on the side note, how did Michael Irvin get to the Hall of Fame before Chris Carter? But Chris Carter had had more yards, more touchdowns, more receptions than Michael Irvin. And it took 5 years after Irvin was in the Chris Carter to get in. I'm telling you. They going to the Super Bowl rings for the sport that is the most team-oriented sport out of any of the 4 major sports, 5 if you want to count soccer. They count rings more than they count, and I hate to say it, but they count rings more than they count statistics.
I'm just saying he made it. He doesn't have a very long resume. He did a lot in a very short amount of time. The league's yards per carry average leader in the history of football since they've kept the stat is Jamaal Charles. Frank Gore is not a leader of any statistic in anything. He might have the most carries in the history of the NFL by the time he's done, but that's it.
But we even said this. Frank Gore is not the best running back that came out of the
He's not a Hall of Famer.
He's 4th.
He's not a Hall of Famer.
But he'll go. Because he's 4th, he'll be 3rd eventually.
But do you think he deserves to be in the Hall of Fame?
No.
Is he one of the greatest running backs of all time?
Of course not.
Thank
I agree.
you. All right.
We're on the same page.
Moving on to the Texans.
Oh, wow. We're just going to go ahead and cut it.
We're going to cut it right there. We don't have a whole lot of time. We're down to 32 minutes, and we only got 2 minutes more recording. So we're moving on to the Texans. Who's their number 2 receiver? I have here number 3 receiver. So before I get to number 3, I need to get to number 2. It's supposed to be Will Fuller. This is the same thing we talked about with Tony Romo not being available. This guy is not going to be healthy. Let's just call it like it is.
Yeah,
he's not going to be healthy. So who is their number 2 receiver?
That's all you have.
Okay, well, I'm confused.
That's all you have. I mean,
Bill O'Brien's
they have a bunch of guys that can step up, that can need to step up. They got Jester Way that was from my alma mater.
Why don't they give Dez a call?
You know why they're not going to give Dez a call?
Why? Because
the Texans do not like anybody that can speak out.
Do they want to win?
The Texans don't want anybody that can speak out.
Do they want to win?
Of course.
Then I'm confused. When you have nobody else, Fuller. Like, I don't understand why they went. Like, I'm not a Texan fan, but if I were a Texan fan, I would be irate at the fact that they didn't make a move at wide receiver. Like, I would be completely irate.
Well, dude, let's keep it real. Last year, they didn't make a move at running back. Adrian Peterson, who lives here in the Houston area, he lives up closer to Woodland, sat and turned down teams for a fact.
Bro, Adrian Peterson at this stage of his career is not better than the running back they have.
No. He's better than Lamar Miller?
He is not better than Miller at this stage of his career.
Here's the thing.
No.
Adrian first got hold on. Who had 1,000 yards more recently, Adrian Peterson or Lamar Miller?
He's not better than Lamar Miller.
He's better than Lamar. He's
not.
Better than Lamar Miller.
He's not.
He is.
I don't like Lamar Miller either. You know that. But at this stage of his career, and the fact that he's like a sip of coffee from tearing his ACL again, Adrian Peterson is not worth it. But you're right. They should have made a move at running back last year. And if I'm a fan, and this team is trying to sell tickets, well, not really. They got a waiting list for tickets, and that's probably why this is happening. These fans aren't asking or demanding for what they should be demanding. These fans are just happy the Texans are pretty good, hoping that they can take another step.
The teams will disappear again. That's their thing.
This just doesn't make any sense to me. With this defense, why the hell wouldn't you go get a wide receiver?
Again, they think they can win. One, with the running game, and two, with Bill O'Brien's offense.
In the AFC with Patrick Mahomes and Tom Brady, do they think they can win for real?
Yeah, they do.
How?
Your guess is as good as mine.
Oh, okay.
That's why they fired the GM. But that's why they fired the GM.
So, again, we have no real idea what the hell they're doing. Because to me, it doesn't seem like they really want to take that step and be one of these elite teams. Because if you really wanted to be these elite teams, you would make that move.
But more importantly, let's bring up one factor. Their franchise, not J.J. Watt, not D-Hop, but Deshaun Watson. Y'all still not protecting this kid. Yeah, they didn't go out to try to do anything with the line, but draft a guy that was projected to be in the 5th round. You draft as a first-round pick. The kid that came from the HBCU who did not play against number one competition, while you had guys that came from Alabama, Clemson, bigger colleges that played that competition. Not to knock anybody from HBCU. Shout out to all the HBCUs. I love y'all. My wife is a Howard alumni and love it. And I've been on Howard's campus several times. Love it. But anyways, to make a point, y'all drafted a kid that high who only played this position for 2 years. Remember, that kid came in as a running back, a QB. And he was just a heavy-set QB they made offensive line. You putting your franchise at that situation. So if this kid don't pan out, Watson's always was second in the league in being sacked. That's not good, considering the fact that y'all known for this, i.e. David Carr.
I just don't understand.
That's the bigger question.
I don't understand. And then somehow the head coach gets promoted.
Yeah, the head coach is now Baby John Group.
I just don't get it. I don't get it. Like, I'm just perplexed at this defense. Dude, this defense, I would just take Whitney Merciless. If I could have him off of that team and put him on the Chiefs defense, I'm a Super Bowl winner. So I don't understand it.
Free agent next year.
And
he may leave.
And I would love to have him in Kansas City, even at this stage of his career. I would think the Chiefs would win 3 Super Bowls with him. It's absolutely insane that the Texans aren't a top echelon team. Like, they should literally be, with that defense, they should literally be the hands-on favorite to win that division every single year. And yet,
so can I ask this question? You were talking about the defense. Is the defense actually that great?
They need a new D coordinator.
Or the division?
They need a new D coordinator to let these dogs loose more.
Right, because is the defense actually that good?
Because Romeo, listen,
Watt.
I love Romeo Crennel. I'm very sorry for what happened during the time he was in Kansas City, but it did teach me one thing about Romeo Crennel. He should have stopped coaching a few years ago, like when he was in Kansas. And I don't mean like head coaching. I mean he shouldn't even be a position coach because the game goes too fast for Romeo Crennel.
Mm-hmm.
And
well, they run the same 3-4 system that does not work.
Because he does not know anything else. He's been coaching the same system for the last 20 years. It's time to let him go. It's time for him to retire. He's had a beautiful career. He's had a beautiful career. I love what he's accomplished. I'm glad he was a black head coach in Kansas City. I'm sorry for the tragedies that happened under him. I'm sorry for the record he produced. I wanted him to be successful, but he needs to retire from football. I'm just saying. Like, the only reason that he's still got a job is because of the talent on that side of the ball in Houston. But
no,
yes,
he had a job because of the brotherhood and that New England brotherhood with him and Bill O'Brien, and Mike Vrabel. So Mike Vrabel got a job.
Yeah,
that's the only reason.
And ain't none of them gonna do crap until they all just separate from each other.
I agree.
Any other Texan news?
No. They pretty much, well, of course, we always have to talk about Jadeveon Clowney, and he's still holding out. He still wants more money.
What are they going to do about that?
Well, here's the thing. They said they're willing to trade him, but a lot of the teams said what the Texans want is too high. Remember, Chucky over there in Raider Nation wants Jadeveon Clowney. He still, to this day, says Jadeveon Clowney was the best player in that draft.
I'm going back to your point, though. Is he worth this kind of money?
In my opinion, no.
Okay. I just wanted to know. I like him. He's injury prone.
I like him a lot. Here's the thing. He's injury prone, and he balled out during a contract year.
Like they all do.
Like they all do.
I'm telling you, inside the brotherhood, this is an NFL thing. I think inside the brotherhood, they give up a couple throughout the season to try to help their brothers get more money, especially if the game is already decided. That's just how I feel, because all these guys during contract years have monster years. Every other year, they're average at best. But contract year, my numbers just shot up. It's the brotherhood, man.
Well, look at it like this. Remember when Mario Williams had that crazy ball-out season, and next, the Texans weren't willing to pay him because all of a sudden J.J. Watt came out, and, he just did damage himself. And Mario got paid, and then he went to Buffalo, and he had okay season.
Sucked.
Huh?
And he sucked.
And then you look at another guy. Let's use the Tennessee Titans when they got Albert.
Let's go Justin Houston.
Justin Houston.
Let's go Justin Houston.
He got hurt.
Yeah, man, bro. Before that year, he did not have anything resembling that type of season. Then you just bust out with 20 sacks. Then you just bust out with 20 sacks. Tell me this ain't the brotherhood. Tell me this ain't the brotherhood. Bro, this is all about these players trying to drive up money so they can get a little extra. This is about the brotherhood. I know it's about the brotherhood, and you know it's about the brotherhood, too. We are down to...
I'll give you one better for y'all guys. Kendrell Bell. Let's take it back there. Kendrell Bell was great for the Steelers. They didn't want to pay him because of Joey Porter. He went to y'all, and
was
never played
garbage.
Well. We look at it like, wow, okay. I don't even think he lasted 3 years with y'all. He got paid, but we're like, okay, go for it.
Yeah, so let that be. I love the players, but the players, they need to know that the fans ain't stupid. And we know what's going on. But anyway, enough with them and that. We got to move on. We got 30 minutes left. This is your topic. It's the fantasy football preview.
All right, so here we go with fantasy football. I got 2 leagues. I drafted in one. I got 2 coming up within the next couple of days. Fantasy football is always an interesting topic because the players hate fantasy football with a passion. Le'Veon Bell was probably the first player I've ever heard in history that sat there and said he apologizes for having a sucky season or an irrelevant season, keep it real, for the fantasy football fans. Fantasy football, to me, is the only way is a moneymaker. But I have to laugh because I swear to you, some of these fantasy football gurus don't know what the hell they're talking about. I've looked at mock fantasy football drafts. I've been in one that was a public one through ESPN. I'm sorry, not ESPN, CBS. That had Deshaun Watson in the top 10.
Whoa, what?
Yes, 2 of them. So Deshaun Watson's in the top 10 in the CBS one, and he's in the top 10 in the ESPN one. Deshaun Watson. I ain't knocking the kid, but you taking Deshaun over D-Hop. Because Deshaun has something called interception. At least you know with D-Hop is going to get that ball. He doesn't drop the ball much, and you don't lose much for dropping the ball, but you damn sure lose much for interception. So, and he's on this list.
I'm on Fantasy Pros right now. The number one player is Saquon Barkley.
Always. Because he's the most versatile player in NFL right now.
He's the most versatile player? I like him.
Name one.
Christian McCaffrey.
No one better right now until Le'Veon shows that
Christian
he can be
McCaffrey is the most versatile player in football right now. And I don't even like the guy. I don't like him at all, but it's true.
Here's your thing with Christian McCaffrey. Christian McCaffrey is the only option on Carolina.
Guess who's number 2 on this list?
He's number 2 on the list.
Yeah.
He's number 2.
Yeah, he's number 2. So
because when I do my next fantasy football, if I got the number 2 pick, if Saquon's gone, I'm going Christian McCaffrey. I'm not stupid.
Okay. So I'm not that far off that I agree. I didn't even see the list before I said that. I just looked back and saw where he was after I said that. But yeah. So 1 and 2. Who you got 3?
Alvin Kamara.
Are you looking at the Fantasy Pros ranking list right now? Is that what you're using?
No, I know it. I know the top 5. I know the top 5, and I'm actually logging on now. But I know the top 5 like the back of my hand. 1 is with Barkley, 2 is Christian, 3 Kamara, 4 some people have Zeke.
Yeah, that's what they have.
Some people have Patrick Mahomes, and then some people have I think D-Hop's on that one. If I'm not, no, I'm sorry. Yeah, D-Hop.
Bro, they don't have Patrick Mahomes on the top 15. Shit, top 20.
Hey, the CBS one has Patrick Mahomes at number 6.
They have him 37.
What list are you looking at, my friend?
Fantasy Pros.
Oh, yeah. You're using that list.
Fantasy Pros have Patrick Mahomes at 37.
Can I be honest with you? Fantasy Pros got nothing for me I used them like a year and a half ago because I wasn't really paying attention to fantasy football rankings just because it was so damn big with other shit. Yeah, the Fantasy Pros were the ones that tell me to draft David Johnson. And David Johnson got hurt, 1, and 2, didn't do shit. And then their second pick for Fantasy Pros was the one that told me to grab what's the boy Matt Ryan. Yeah, no.
Right.
Nope.
We got about 18 minutes. We're gonna go position by position. I want your number 1. I want to argue and debate one that is gonna be anti-Chief. So I want to warn everybody now. Matter of fact, let's start right there. Who's your number 1 tight end?
Kelsey. That's easy.
I disagree. This year, my number 1 tight end is Jared Cook.
How?
Who's his quarterback?
Where is Jared Cook at? I forgot.
He's in Nolan's.
Here's your problem.
I don't have
Nolan
one.
Yeah, you do.
No,
they
I don't.
The ball too damn.
Let me tell you something. What has Drew Brees been missing since 2009? Why hasn't he been back to a Super Bowl? He's got one now. The number 1 tight end in fantasy football, and I'm calling it, is going to be Jared Cook if he stays healthy.
Reg, you forgetting about a guy that came out of the woodwork, and my best friend in the fantasy football league. He beat me in the semi finals with George Kittle.
Oh yeah, he's up there. He's up there.
I
was gonna say Kittle. I was gonna say Kittle, but then I remembered that Cook is with Drew Brees, and Drew Brees loves the tight end. He likes Michael Thomas, but I trust Drew Brees in the tight end as long as he can stay healthy. He's gonna. I'm telling you, watch Jared Cook. But you called Travis Kelce. Fantasy Pros called Travis Kelce. And I'm just throwing the wild card out there. Anybody that decides to listen, Jared Cook, if you can get him and let Travis Kelce and George Kittle and all of them get picked and you can steal Jared Cook late, bro, you're going to win your fantasy league.
That's to say a lot.
I'm just saying, dude. This dude is going to ball in New Orleans.
All right.
And they haven't had a tight end in years. They've been throwing to a damn backup quarterback because they don't have a tight end.
Well, that's true. Ben Watson's old. Ben Watson's older than us.
Oh,
and
they
haven't had a tight end since 15.
Yeah,
they haven't had Jimmy Graham.
Bro, but he was a shell of himself. They haven't had a tight end since 2009. That's the last time.
Yeah.
Since 2009.
Jimmy Graham was actually good.
Yeah, they haven't. No, he was, bro.
Yeah, Jimmy Graham gave it 1,000 yards. He was one of the few.
I'm just saying,
1,000-yard tight ends.
Watch Jared Cook and Drew Brees work together. I think that the fantasy football world is sleeping. Let me see where they have Jared Cook at.
He probably if anything, I would say top 50.
They got O.J. Howard ranked above him.
Ahead of him.
Yeah.
Yeah. And Fantasy Pros had him. And the only reason why is they think.
I don't understand. Do they not remember when Drew Brees had a tight end? Because I do.
Here's the thing. They keep bringing up. The only reason why they're doing this is because of Michael Thomas. And because of Alvin Kamara.
Yeah.
Because now you.
Okay.
Think
but
about
Alvin Kamara is only as dangerous as he's been because Drew Brees has not had a tight end. You know Drew Brees. Every time he gets rattled, he throws to his tight end. He gets rattled a lot, and his tight end is going to be very fast on that turf. Watch.
Yes and no. You're right with the tight end, but remember, the year Drew and them won the Super Bowl and those couple years before that, Drew also had a catching running back.
That's true.
More recently, he
That's
had
true.
a catching running back. Because before Kamara, when he had Ingram couldn't catch for shit. Ingram is between the tackles guy. He's a ground and pound. I remember I wanted him coming out of college, and I thought he was going to be the next Jerome Bettis, and I was wrong. But now you got Kamara that can catch, and his workload is going to be double now. So he's going to be getting a lot of balls, and that's what I'm saying. Yeah, you can say Jared Cook. I guarantee, I give you that. One, Jared Cook needs to stay healthy, and two, more importantly, we'll see if he's going to use Kamara more as the outlet.
He's ranked as the number 7 tight end.
That sounds about right for right now.
He's ranked number 89. He's barely made the top 100.
That sounds right about now.
With Drew Brees as his quarterback.
Drew spreads the ball.
Bro. All right, we're off tight end. Wide receiver number 1.
Wide receiver number 1, you have to say D-Hop.
Yes, that's what they say as well. I don't like it. I just don't.
When you don't have a number 2.
Yards per reception is just too low for me.
When you don't have a number 2, the ball's going to get forced.
I don't like it.
And if he catches it, you don't like it, but that's a fact.
I don't like it at all. I'm taking my wide receiver number 1, same team. Mike Thomas.
Michael Thomas?
Yep, same team.
Yeah, I'll give you that. I can say that. But again, Drew spreads the ball. Deshaun does not know how to spread just yet.
Bro, they got Julio ranked as number 3. What the hell are they smoking? I have drafted Julio for the last 3 years, and I know better. He's old.
Yeah, Julio's not the same. That's why he's not getting paid.
They got him number 3.
They're going to let him walk.
Julio, so I gave you Michael Thomas. They have Michael Thomas as the number 7 wide receiver. Crazy. Alrighty. Wide receiver number 2, you're going to go with Thomas, I'm guessing, right?
Correct.
All right. I'm going to take a flyer. I'm going OBJ. I'm going OBJ.
I got to figure out what it is.
Listen, until somebody can stop him, and I like the new quarterback because he's better than Eli. Until somebody can stop him, I'm going OBJ.
I'm actually surprised you picked OBJ over your boy, over Tyreek.
I'm not picking Tyreek Hill. I do not pick Chiefs. The one time I picked Jamaal Charles number 1 overall, he tore his ACL. I do not pick Chiefs.
The big thing is with OBJ is, one, the line is not better this year for gunslinger from Oklahoma, the system kid. That's one.
Well, he's going to be slinging the gun, so call him a system.
Oh,
but they're going to bring the system to him. Trust me.
Two, I got to see the chemistry. I mean, chemistry, the wide receiver and quarterback combo is one of the few places where chemistry counts. And I don't know how that chemistry is going to work necessarily at first, especially when you got Jay Bestie over there. Because
bro, Baker wants to be everybody's friend in that locker room. He wants to lead that locker room, and he's got to manage personalities. That chemistry has already been done.
Because you got to manage, but you got to manage both LSU boys.
Yeah, but I'm going to manage the better one if I got a choice.
Well, Jarvis Landry's no slouch.
I didn't call him a slouch, but he's no OBJ. Listen, Tannehill is. Hold on. You'll never. This is one of the very few times in the world that you will hear anybody ever say Ryan Tannehill is better than anyone. But Tannehill is better than Eli.
Yeah.
So this is the one time that you're going to hear someone say Ryan Tannehill is better than someone, but he was better than Eli, and that was Landry's quarterback. And Odell had Eli, and Odell was Odell. Landry gave me excuses.
I'm sorry. I'm not picking Odell next. If I'm picking a wide receiver next, and it's not Juju, I'm picking that kid up in there in Green Bay.
They have him ranked high, too.
I'm going to go Devontae Adams.
They have him at 5th.
I'm going to pick Adams before I pick OBJ.
I'm not picking anybody that Aaron Rodgers throws to until Aaron Rodgers proves he can stay healthy.
Well, I mean, he's only been not healthy the last, year?
And he's only been not good listen, that's enough. The way he plays football, once he starts getting hurt, it's going to be an issue. So, pay attention. Pay attention there. But
oh, yeah, we definitely going to do that. But I just have a funny feeling and a sneaky suspicion that they'll be okay. So that's why I'm going to roll with Adams with that one. I don't know why they keep having Julio so high.
Yeah, that's
Juju's high.
If anyone listening picks Julio anywhere before the 5th round, I think you're going to lose your league.
Because the thing is with Juju, the biggest factor with him is now that he's the number one, we have to see what he's going to do. But the biggest thing also is Ben's going to force the ball. Yeah, and Ben's going to force the ball to him.
Yeah, I want to see how that works. That's the only thing that
scares me.
Yeah, I want to see how he fights for the ball.
Well, it's going to work because that's what he fucking did the whole time with Brown.
But he wasn't double covered then.
No, correct. But I'm going to go back a couple of years before AB was the superstar. Ben used to do the same goddamn thing with Mike Wallace. He was force-feeding Mike Wallace, and that's how Mike Wallace got the 2 Pro Bowls, which he shouldn't have. And then all of a sudden, when Mike Wallace became semi-diva, nowhere level to what AB became. But when he started doing that, Ben started switching and started feeding AB. It's always a pattern with him. But Ben will force. That's why Ben's always in the top 10 in interceptions. That's why I would never, ever, 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 ever have Ben as my number 1 quarterback in fantasy football. Yes, he'll give you 5,000 yards, but he will give you 15 interceptions.
All right, we need a wide receiver number 3.
Now I'm going Juju.
You're going Juju. With number 3, I would go Tyreek.
Okay. That's it.
Yeah. All right, number 4 wide receiver.
Damn, you doing PPR?
Yeah.
Shit. There you go.
I need one more.
Hey, you going to do 2 quarterbacks too?
We have to. You got bye weeks, bro.
Well, that's because you're doing PPR. No, I'm talking about you're doing the bench too. Oh, I'm sorry. If I'm going number 4 receiver, actually maybe number 3. Number 4, I'm going to take this back. Number 4 is Juju. Number 3 is Adam Thielen.
I agree with Thielen. I'm going with
Adam Thielen.
Yeah, I agree with Thielen.
They hate it. My man is consistent. He's
he
kind of like
balls.
that Wes Walker-ish type wide receiver.
Yeah, but he's better.
Yeah, he is.
He's better.
But he's He's not going to do anything spectacular. He's not going to do the long bomb catch and nothing like that. He's just going to be consistent, and that's what he was.
He out.
He was my free agent pick last year. Like, two players that killed my fantasy football league was Adam Thielen, which I had, and my best friend had Patrick Mahomes. Because Patrick Mahomes went undrafted, and so did Adam Thielen.
Wow.
They both got us a lot of points.
Wow.
No one predicted Patrick Mahomes on as far as our squad was concerned. We were 10 deep.
My spouse picked Patrick
Now
Mahomes.
he's probably go number one.
My spouse picked Patrick Mahomes.
He's smart.
We're moving.
My homeboy picked up Mahomes by as a free agent, but no.
We're going to running back. You got Saquon number 1.
Yes.
I'm going to stick with my number 1 pick is Christian McCaffrey, so I'm guessing your number 2 is McCaffrey.
Yes, correct.
Who's your number 3?
My sleeper is going to be James Conner, but I won't have him as my number 1 because, like I said, we're going to probably run the 3-headed monster. So I would have him as, my pitch hitter one by week.
That's a homer pick. Really? You said you're playing for
People
money.
People are still sleeping on him.
You playing for money.
Yeah, I know. Trust me.
I'm taking Le'Veon 3.
My homer picks have worked for the last several years.
Yeah.
For years, every draft I would have, I'd pick Heath Miller, and people would be like, why you pick Heath? Okay, cool. Don't pick Heath.
I'm going
I get
Le'Veon
Heath
3.
in like the 5th or 6th.
I'm going to go former Steeler Nation, Le'Veon Bell.
That's fine. I can give you that.
All right, so where we at? We did
wide receiver. Johnson.
We went wide. You got that? You can have. Yeah, I don't trust him.
I'm okay.
I picked him number 1 overall, and he tore his ACL too.
I did the same thing. That hurt my feelings that year.
Yeah, mine too.
I never recovered.
Yeah,
I couldn't pick
you couldn't.
anybody for
How
six.
could you? There's no recovering from
The
that.
only thing that was saving my life was Aaron Rodgers was my quarterback, and he was putting up numbers that year. But I was playing running back Jeopardy. I think I probably picked up damn near every free agent running back I can that year. It was bad.
It was terrible.
That's why I think I'm staying away from Arizona at all.
Awful. Yeah, I don't know. That's 3. I guess we want to go defense before we go quarterback?
Well, I mean, you can go defense. Defense to me is either the Rams or, you know what? I have a sleeper, though.
I like Denver.
We just talked about them a second ago, the Bills.
I like Denver.
I like Denver, too, but they're not a sleeper. Denver's there.
Yeah.
The only reason why Denver had a losing record is that their defense played too much and they got tired.
And then if I had to have a second defense, it's going to be I'm sticking with Baltimore.
They lost too much.
They lost a lot, but this defense is traditionally just good.
Yeah.
I know you don't like them. I know they're a rival, but traditionally they're just good on defense.
And thank you for saying the rival pick. I'm going with my homer pick as my backup. I'm going with the Steelers.
Yeah.
They led the league. They led the league in sacks. They led the league in forced fumbles. The only thing is we're at the bottom of far as yards is concerned and interceptions.
Bro, I don't have a list for kickers, but let's move there. What you got for kicker?
I just randomly pick somebody, whoever the hell's available. I've been picking Mason Crosby for the last 10 years, man. I'll be honest with you. I've been picking Mason Crosby and go Green Bay until the cows come out. I don't have one.
I'd take Harrison
Butker. I had Chris Boswell last year by mistake, and he was horrible.
This is one time I take a Chief just because I know that they're going to score a lot of points. So I take the Chiefs kicker.
I always do 2 teams, the Steelers with whoever 3. It's either the Steelers, Green Bay, or New England. I always take their kickers. Yeah, New England always has consistent kickers. The Steelers is just hell, if it's probably my last pick, I'll just go with the homer pick. Or Green Bay, because they score a lot.
I guess I've just figured out who my Super Bowl matchup is, too, by picking the 2 kickers I'm going to pick. Chiefs and Saints.
You know what's funny? I can see the NFL doing that this year because they messed up last year.
Yeah,
Because, wait, where's the Super Bowl going to be this year? This is the year it's in L.A., right?
Yeah.
Rams won't be in the Super Bowl.
I didn't even know that's the team I was picking from the NFC until right now, and looking at this and how much I like the Saints players. Yeah, I just figured out my Super Bowl pick. You know I'm picking the Chiefs.
Well, obviously going to pick the Chiefs. No, I'm not going to go out on a limb with the Steelers. I haven't decided who I'm going to pick for the Super Bowl pick. I'm just saying the Rams aren't going to be in it just because the fact of the matter is no NFL team who hosts the Super Bowl also played in the Super Bowl. It's never happened.
Yeah.
So that's the first thing I look at. Like, oh, the Super Bowl's in L.A.? They ain't going to the Super Bowl.
But I'll tell you this. I wouldn't be surprised if the league tried to get the Chargers in the Super Bowl.
Why?
Because they can't sell tickets.
Send them back to San Diego. They sold tickets in San Diego.
Hey, if you get
they
them in
didn't
the
sell
Super
tickets in L.A.
If you get them in the Super Bowl, you sell tickets in L.A. I'm just saying. I could see the
LA
league.
squad.
If the league is going to conspire, that's how they're going to conspire for the Chargers. And you know these experts like to pick the Chargers every year anyway. So if the league is going to conspire, I think this is the year that they pick the Chargers, because doesn't their stadium open next year too?
Yeah, it does.
Yeah, I think that if the league is going to conspire, that's the way they're going to do it.
I just can't see that. I can't see them beating y'all out in y'all division.
I don't see it either, especially with Melvin Gordon's holdout going into the regular season, then Derwin James just having surgery. But if the league is going to conspire, it's going to be for the Chargers.
They need to trade Melvin also.
Yeah, they do.
Because you know what's happening? It's the same thing that happened with Le'Veon last year. It's now when the players are starting to talk about it, that's when it's leaking. It's bad.
Yep.
That means the players don't want to deal with him either. That's when you got to go.
But they've been doing that from the beginning. You remember Phillip Rivers with that initial comment when this holdout first started. Phillip Rivers was like, we're pretty deep at running back, so I'll ride with who we got. Yeah. That was day one of this holdout. So it's not down that it's leaking. Phillip Rivers set the tone at the beginning of this. The leader of the team.
They can solidly get a second-round pick for Melvin Gordon.
Oh, yeah. Easy.
I mean, he could probably go to...
He can go anywhere.
Can go to Miami.
The Chiefs are taking.
They're not going to trade him in the division. You know that for a fact.
I know they're not, but I'm just saying.
Him to go ahead and put up numbers, you know that ain't happening.
He can go anywhere.
He'll be in Miami or somewhere like that. It definitely ain't going to be in the division.
All right.
I see him in Baltimore before I see that.
All right, let's go to the main event, the last picks for your fantasy quarterback.
Okay. I have to go there. I'm going to go with your guy because I'm being honest, because I got to win. If I'm trying to win, because I need a guy that can rush and throw. Everybody goes ahead, and the thing is the people that crack me up with fantasy football, and then also Deshaun Watson's ranked number 2 in fantasy football for a quarterback because he can run and he can throw. But he's not going to give Deshaun Watson, I'll be surprised, gives you 20 touchdowns.
They got him as the number 2 quarterback. I'm sticking with A-Rod only because I can't pick Mahomes. I just can't. But if I could, I would. Like, I would advise everyone else to pick Patrick Mahomes because he's kind of the best player in the league at the moment.
Here's the problem. A-Rod is just what you said. Can you stay healthy?
I'm just saying, for me, I have to, but I would advise everyone else to do that. They have actually Deshaun Watson is number 2 here on on Fantasy Pros. I kind of disagree. If Andrew Luck is healthy, but that's a huge if, he would be very high on that list. I don't like Carson Wentz. I was waiting on an argument there.
I'm not a big fan of, okay, A-Rod's healthy, Carson Wentz sporadic. He's actually the downfall of all these large-ass contract situations. A lot of people are still saying Baker Mayfield. I'm sorry. Baker Mayfield is a young Brett Favre to me. Brett Favre when he was not in his prime days, like Brett Favre Minnesota days. So, yeah, he's going to give you a lot of touchdowns, and he's going to throw you a lot of goddamn picks. So until he can be a lot more than just a gunslinger, I'm staying away from Baker Mayfield.
Yeah, but I'm still taking Baker Mayfield. They have Matt Ryan as the number 4 quarterback. I'm sorry, as the number 3 quarterback on here.
To be safe. He's not going to give you a lot of picks, but now recently he's not giving you a lot of touchdowns either.
Okay. The quarterback pickings are slim, is what I'm seeing. Because after Mahomes, there's this drop off instantly. They had.
I picked Russell Wilson before I picked Matt Ryan. I'm just keeping it real.
Me too. Absolutely, me too. They got Deshaun Watson number 2. I disagree. They had A-Rod number 3. I think he should be number 2. Baker Mayfield, they have 4. I think it's too early to put him there. But with the talent around him, like the Chiefs had with Mahomes last year, I would not be surprised if Baker Mayfield exploded for 50 touchdowns.
This is how bad some of these fantasy football drafts is. They have Drew Brees 13. They have Jameis Winston. Jameis Winston, hear me out. Josh Allen.
He was the 7th quarterback.
Drew. Well, on this one through Walter Football, who they usually go through Yahoo, they have Drew 13.
So we agree that the top 2 quarterbacks in fantasy football is Patrick Mahomes. You don't necessarily agree on Aaron Rodgers. Then who's your number 2?
I'll pick Drew before I pick Aaron Rodgers.
Okay,
keep it real.
I agree with that. I'll take Drew Brees. So you got Mahomes and Brees. I'm taking Rodgers and Brees. So that's our fantasy football outlook. We're a little bit over time, but we're a lot better than last time. Anyway.
Hey, work in progress, baby.
Yeah, it's a work in progress. We definitely thank you all for who listen and who will listen. We'll see you next week, 7:30, right here on Underdawg Sportz. Thank you.
Peace out. We out.